everyone. Hey, Ixaron. Hey, Augustus Caesar. Hey, Anarcho. Nice to have you all here. So I was thinking about playing some Netrunner and then doing other stuff. And then decided I would rather just get to the other stuff right away, and we can always go and play Netrunner later when I run out of steam. I've been working on building some kind of Netrunner cube for a while, though it's not quite a cube. It's trying to recreate a more traditional limited experience. And so what I've been doing is trying to break this down with the idea that we're gonna do two types of seating in the same pack. Hey Sophie, hey Cinderin. Oh, I forgot to do this. So let's get some light on me. Ooh, that's an okay color. Let's just keep playing with it. I meant to do this before we started, but there we go. Yeah, that's better. That's better. Okay. We'll make Andre happy if he shows up. Okay, so I have now made where did I save this? Oh goodness. Where did I save this? Ah, okay. Corp spreadsheets / corp pool _ draft1.csv. Cool. Okay. So this is 288 cards where I've assigned a rarity to every card where C is common, N is uncommon, and R is rare. Balanced it roughly by faction, agendas, ice, and then everything else kind of got clumped up and I just grabbed what I liked from each faction. The thing I'm realizing is this is probably going to end up being a super, super good stuff draft at the moment. So, Anarcho, this is me trying to build my own cube with the idea that it will work more like a booster pack draft where there'll be pre-seeded sets of rares, uncommons, and commons in an individual pack, some guaranteed number of agendas, some guaranteed number of ice, and then some other mix of cards. N being uncommon is so that I can sort by C, N, R rather than C, R, U. So, you know, blame English, honestly. Blame English. Yeah. Okay, so this is our first draft. We'll just call this first draft, right? Okay, so the idea now is I need to come up with some way of, make a pack, right? Make a pack. I will call this, make corp pack. And we'll have this take a data frame, which will be the pods. Or this should just be the card pool, right? PD data frame. Okay. So I did some talking with some snare bears, though honestly not Eric, who I still need to loop up with this on. So Cinderin, I'm keeping faction limitations. I think what I'm going to do is select the corp IDs that you could play and just have those be outside the pool. Though, frankly, I think you could probably put them in the pool. I don't think it would actually cause too much of a disruption to the pool. You put them in the rare thing. But But I have some initial plans for how I want the rarity and pool to work, and then we'll see how that kind of goes. And I'm going to start with writing pseudocode, and then we'll try and figure out how to make it into real code. So let's start with my current assumptions right now. So this is going to be okay. So this is going to be 13 card packs. I ended up on 13 card packs because with 5. So it's actually like you're going to draft 13 with 5 rounds of drafting. Gets you what is that, 65 cards. And the idea is that you're going to be making a legal 49 corp deck. So 65, if you literally have to draft every card in your deck, means you're going to end up playing basically all but 16 of the cards. My goal is that Prior X will be available, and that's it. There will be sure gambles in the cube and hedge funds, and they will probably be the most common cards in the cube. But I think based on the math I did, that should mean that there's probably only 12 to 16 sure gambles for a table of 8 players. As the most common. I think you probably could do enough IDs. You don't actually need that many. I think you need about 4 per faction, and I think you can just barely make that work for every faction, though it gets really tight. I think if we had like probably 2 more like archetypically interesting IDs on the corp side, you could make it work. But it's just like you can't actually put Engineering the Future in the cube because there's just not like, if you get the Engineering the Future pull, you just play Engineering the Future. And like the only thing that's gonna not make you play Engineering the Future because you got the MT pull or the, you know, whatever. And I don't think I would quite put IDs in the as a dedicated slot, but maybe as a rarity option, and then you just tweak it so that you're kind of guaranteed to get enough across the whole set. Okay, but anyways, we've got this. Then we want guaranteed 2 agendas and 2 ice in each pack. I believe that's what I ended up with. Let me double check this. Oh no, okay. I actually have it up here. I actually think I'm going to cut this upgrade guarantee because there's just actually not that many good upgrades in the game. Turns out it's very hard to print upgrades that are not either warping or completely bad. And so there's a lot of completely bad upgrades. And this is just 4 flex cards. CI is very tricky and limited. From my limited experience, forcing CI in every single draft. Gaining a credit every turn is just so valuable. You need to get blue level clearance, violet level clearance, maybe some green level clearances, hedge funds, IPOs. Like, you actually just need so much money to make CI work in limited. What's your thought on Priorec versus Send a Message? So I think Send a Message is too good as a starter draft. If you for what I want to look for. I think now I will say one of the problems with this draft pool is it is very much made by me. So if we open this up, let me go in with this. You're gonna notice when we filter the type to ice that I've picked very Jeff ice. I don't actually have the res cost in here, but just taking a brief scan, you'll notice that there is no ice that costs more than 6 almost in the entire draft. And that is, I think, a downside of the draft pool as currently set up. And so that's something, this is like the a thing I'm going to be playing with for sure, is just adjusting what this pool should look like. And so that's definitely one of the big things to play with. And so this draft is a little bit probably spikier than it should be, and too driving towards value, and less driving for I get to do a cool thing that's a little bit like, I think one of the ideas I would like to is that this is a little bit synergy based rather than just a value draft. Like, you have to spot a synergy and put it into your deck. And actually, this is Anarcho, you're bringing up a good point here, which is I am not using rarity strictly as a marker of power, though it is a strict marker of power in some cases. But there's some effects where I'm like, I think basically most decks will want a border control, or like there's a whole sorry, that's not quite the right way to say it. There are a bunch of scoring corps that can all plausibly run border controls and make them fit. And so I want corp players to actually have access to border controls so that they can build it into their strategy, rather than one guy getting one player getting border control and just getting to, like, either hoping they can draw that one border control and make their strategy around that, or that, you know, a couple people can make sure they have 1, 2, or 3 border controls and make it go. So, like, there's some good ice at common, though not a lot. It's, like, pretty meh ice. And the idea with the uncommon ice is it's strong. It's, like, you can build... It can be a cornerstone of a deck, or do something kind of funky and unique. And then rare is meant to be like, this is an exciting card, I want to grab it, and if I grab it, it does something exciting about my deck. Searches by identity, it's only Asa and Op. Look, just because I mean, if you look at, this is like one of the problems with this draft, and why I'm definitely going to need to collaborate with other people to fix up this card pool a bit. The other thing I actually did, and let me try and see how I should close out all of these. I am like the worst tab person of all time. Okay, yeah, that's just like nothing. Okay, we can close it then if I'm not going to do anything with it. But I actually tried to do some calculations on if I want 6 copies of a common to end up in the pool, how many unique cards should I, on average, there to be 6 copies of a card? How many total cards do I need in the common pool? How many total cards do I need in the uncommon pool to get 3 copies on average? That 95% of the time, there will be 6 or fewer copies of a common in the pool. I need 85. If I want 3 copies to be the maximum limit of an uncommon, we need about 100 unique uncommons. And then for rares, if I want there to be 2 or fewer of a given rare in the pool, 80 rares means that will be true 92% of the time. That is the numbers I aimed for. It ends up pretty close. My initial plan was for a 265 card pool. I ended up with 280 something card pool, so I went over a little bit, right? Can we see? Oh, because I filtered, we cannot. Or does it just not show me the things? Okay. Does this select me a row somewhere? Okay, I have to just go and get the shape of first draft. Okay, 289. So I went quite a bit over. So in theory, I actually need to cut 24 cards from my cube to have it match the right thing. Oops. Oh my goodness, I am so used to now typing in Discord where I want to make paragraph breaks and hit Shift Enter, which is of course run code here. Okay, So we have 2 constraints. We want 2 guaranteed agendas, 3 guaranteed ice, 2 guaranteed operations, 2 guaranteed assets, and 4 flex cards. You know what? Let's make sure that that like is kind of reasonable in our first draft. So let's go and get what do we want? We want type, and then I want, actually I think value counts is probably right. Okay, so we have 59 assets, 61 operations, 80 ice, and 59 agendas. Okay. Let's group by rarity. I think I want to get... can I get... Oh, can I do something like rarity? And I actually don't know if this is going to work. I just want to try and get a breakdown by rarity and by type, just to make sure that if I like oversample, I'm not throwing off my whole algorithm immensely. Ah, bummer. Oh wait, it's capital T for my type because I hate myself. Oh no. Is it capital R? Oh, interesting. Now, do I believe that there are no rare ice? We know for a fact that isn't true. So this isn't quite doing, this is doing something wrong. So we're gonna have to do this the hard way, I think. Let me see if I can get Copilot to help me. Get the number of rarities for each card type. Oh, goodness. Type. Okay, so did I just actually do all caps things? And I don't want strict title, I want card. Okay. Okay, so when we look at assets, so the ratio we want is 85 to 100 to 80, which is we can say this is about, oh god, what, 4 to 5 to 4? That's about right, right? 4 to 5 to 4. 4, 5, 4, 4, 5, 4. It's maybe a bit off in the ice, actually. It's like fairly far off, but I think probably not in the way that I care about. It's very off in operations. So if I put in common operations, we're going to see them a lot. And I also need to make a second copy of hedge fund. I need to make hedge fund somehow a super common. I think that's just like a... If I'm not giving out any hedge funds, I should at least make sure that they're accessible in the pool. And then upgrades, there are basically no common upgrades, which means they're going to be undersampled as a whole. So that's maybe something I should look at. Yeah, I guess making a token rarity is fine. The other option is I actually just put hedge fund in twice, because I don't think it's that. My algorithm will end up being so sophisticated that it will compress down names. So just putting in hedge fund in twice should be effectively the same. Yeah, I got there. I think that is probably the easiest way. But yeah, okay, so the other thing I said was I also broke this down, and then so this is rarity breakdown. Oops, oh my god. Okay, what did I say the rarity breakdown was? 2 rares, 4 uncommons, and 7 commons. I think I was thinking about having there be like odds of getting more rares or more uncommons, but I think it's just not worth it. So I think the way we do this is we roll the agendas, we roll the ice, the operations, and we roll the assets. Can we do that with assets? Yeah, assets are basically ideally distributed. Yeah, so actually, you know what? Let's go and just open this guy up and add another hedge fund. Hedge fund, common, operation, neutral. I don't know why I capitalized it, and it's an economy card. I'm not sure if I'll actually do anything with this function, but there was definitely some possibilities of doing that. So now if I scroll up to where the H's are, if I can remember how the alphabet works. There we are. We have 2 hedge funds. Great. Okay. So now I should be able to read this, and we should have 290. Hooray. Okay. And we went up by 1. I didn't actually check to see, but I think we went up by 1 on the operation. So that's actually a little bit closer to balanced. Okay. So the steps are going to be, first, draw from the agendas, ICE, operations, and asset pools. If there are more than 2 rares, randomly remove a rare until there are 2. If there are now replace removed cards with options from the uncommon and common pools. Then if there are more than 4 uncommons, with options from the common pools. Okay, then we need to see if there are any rare. Okay, so this and then also we need to check for duplicates. If actually no, we can check for duplicates just once at the end. Okay, so then if there are fewer than 2 rares, randomly add rares until there are 2. There are fewer than 4 uncommons, randomly add uncommons. And then we do that, and then if there are any duplicates, randomly replace them with cards of the same rarity. And then if there are any factions missing, randomly replace a card with a matching with a card of the missing faction, and same rarity / type. And then if all of the ice are the same subtype, randomly replace one of the ice with a different subtype of the same rarity of the same faction rarity. Okay, this is gonna be a bit. What's the deal with 2 rates? I'm not sure what you mean by 2 rates here, Ixaron. But okay, let's first make our, we're gonna just have this function pass for now. And we're gonna make a function that subselects cards just for convenience. Do we need to? We're working with data frames. Augustus, is this any different from choosing 2 random slots in the pack to be rare slots, and same for common, uncommon? Oh, maybe that's the better way to do it, is you just randomly grab... You fill the pack, and then randomly upgrade certain numbers of cards with rares and uncommons. So you just grab all neutrals, and then upgrade the slots, and then you have fewer error checking steps. Augustus, I like that idea. I think that makes more sense. That just seems like a much simpler way to do everything. So that seems like a good way to go. Sorry, I'm just realizing I want to make sure that these tunes keep going. Okay, so if we change this, grab... Okay. So let's go... I'm going to leave this here, but we're going to change this method. So from the common pool, fill out the guaranteed card types. Then check for all factions present. Swapping out as needed for the same type. Then randomly upgrade two rares and 4 uncommons. And this is so much less logic, and the only thing we're missing is the ice duplication. So we're going to leave this optional. Check for ice duplication. Okay. Thank you. This is much simpler to implement, and so it's going to be the better thing to implement. I am going to quickly look up how to do random sampling from a pandas data frame. Let's do that where people can look, I guess. Pandas data frame. Okay, and let's go and get my where do I want to go? Let's go for my JNet screen. Whoop. I'm going to be bouncing around. Oh, is that literally just a sample? Very, very cool. Okay, so what we can then do is let's make a function that's called def get commons baseline, and this will take a card pool data frame, and we are going to call our card pool, and we're going to get rarity equals C, and we're just gonna make a home card pool, and we're gonna just make a temporary data frame, and we're gonna copy this so I don't have to deal with errors. And then just so I can make sure this works, I'm just gonna return this so I can just do this. Oh, you're already mad at me. Cool. Key error false. Oh, I'm a dummy. Okay, I want this bracketing. Okay, so this gives me all the commons. Great. So now I need to go agendas equals df card type agenda sample 2, and then ice sample 3, operation sample 2, asset sample 2, and then df sample 4, and then I think these are going to return a bunch of data frames, so I think I can just go concat agendas ice. We don't want to return a CSV. And we just go for this, and we'll call this. Okay, so this would be our initial pack, where it's got Mega Pre, Beal, Ivik, Assassin, Bastion, Shipment. So let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 agendas in here, which is quite a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ice. Shipment from Sands. Okay, let's just run this a couple of times, I guess, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 again. 1, 2, 3 agendas. Oh, I can always see. Okay. Right, because these last 4 cards are always going to be the ones that are added. So an operation, agenda, nice, and asset. Oh, you know why this doesn't work? Is because we don't have enough common upgrades. So upgrades are going to be incredibly rare because there's just not enough common upgrades. That is the problem with this. Hey, Cat. Ixaron, the reason for 2 rares is basically... I'm not trying to sell rare chasing packs, and I think having rare cards show up is like something that I'm looking to do. So really, I'm trying to stratify my card. To me, it's the stratification I'm looking at is rares are powerful situationally in the right deck. Uncommons should be synergy points that you can build a deck with and around, and then commons are what you're going to use to make it, like, to fill out your deck and make it function to some degree. Now, that's not entirely true. Like, there's a couple of commons that are like really, really powerful. I wish I actually kept the rating tab in here, because there's a couple of very powerful commons. And let me try and see. Like, I believe I put Global Food Initiative at a common, and that might be something I need to change for sure. Like, I actually have Jackson Howard and Spin Doctor in as commons. Basically because I want most corps to have access to some like, have a few Spin Doctors and things available to them. But I guess a way I could guarantee is I could seed in a single upgrade, and that way it has a chance of getting grabbed. And so we'll just sample 1 and we'll make 3 flexes. Now, this is probably still gonna, like, this is actually still gonna be slightly broken. Oh, I need to also concatenate it here as well. And there's definitely some way I could make this work a little bit better, but... so I guess I believe Sample is not going to handle that. We're going to have to do it ourselves. I'm going to do that, I think, at the very end of all of the iteration. Yeah, so like here we can clearly see that Sample did grab Mavirus twice. So it's perfect. You ask the question, it provides the answer. Yeah, so we're going to have to do some twisting of that. Yeah, the problem with this upgrade strategy is it does require a symmetry where the ratio of assets to ice to operations to upgrades is constant across the categories. And as we can see, there's just not many good common upgrades, which makes this a little bit tricky. So Ixaron, part of the even with the 2 rares in the pack, 90-something% of the time there's going to be 2 or fewer copies, which means most of the time there's going to be 0 or 1 copies of a given rare, even with 2 rares in a pack, when you have a pool of about 80 rares. And yeah, Kat, this is being done in Python. I'm using a really popular data science package called Pandas. I could definitely push some upgrades down in rarity. They will never be quite as common as the others, but that's probably the way to do it. The other thing that is a little bit funky about this is when I upgrade a card, I'm gonna have to do I have to do the agenda fixing kind of at the end, I think, or the faction fixing. Like when I upgrade, I actually just need to upgrade to the same type, not be the same faction, and then do type checking at the end. So it's actually, I need to do, I'm gonna do this at the end. Okay. So this would be like our example where we get, like, we're gonna pull Mavirus a lot of the time because it's one of the only common upgrades, and that's definitely something we could look at. We could look at, you know, let's take a quick look, because this is definitely a place where I could use some feedback. But basically, I'm like, okay, what are common upgrades right now? They're Mavirus, Biovault, Data Vault, Malabur Data Vault, and Akutaro Watanabe. So 3 Jinteki common upgrades. Crisium Grid could move to common. I'm not quite sure what you mean, but and it's like, it's hard. Like, there's just not, like, if we sort by faction for a second, like, there's not actually that many good HB upgrades that you could play. Like, they drop down in power really, really fast. Jinteki actually has, like, a good number of playable upgrades, which is good for them. I had some real problems with it. Like, I felt like, because I didn't want to do a lot of shell game stuff, and maybe I just need to throw that out and, like, go back to shell game stuff and make sure that shell game Jinteki is supported in the pool. But it's like, there's just a kind of dearth of good things, and it's like, well, I also don't want them to be everywhere. And like, there's reasons I don't love shell game in a draft setting, the same way that I don't want to support grinder in a draft setting. Even though those are distinct archetypes, they do some of the same things to the game in function. Yeah, I think my goal here with the... Yeah, Will-O-Wisp is definitely an option. I definitely thought about it. It's kind of... Yeah. Okay. But let's get the commons baseline. And now we're going to do our def upgrade baseline. And this will take in a commons data frame, which will be a PD data frame. Okay, so we're gonna take this data frame and we're going to sample 6 from it. Oh no, we need to get our commons data frame. Okay. And then, and this is going to be our, and then we're going to go, I think, is it DF, is there a, like, actually, let's just return this. I want to see if this shuffles the order. So I'm going to go DF equals this. We're going to print DF, and then we're going to do call upgrade baseline on DF. I need to figure out how to make this print nicely. Okay, but it does actually shuffle the order, which is the thing I wanted to see happen. Where it goes, okay, agenda, ice, da, 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 but then mental health clinic was down here and got sampled first here. Yeah, I don't think KP Lin is a playable upgrade, but I can double check that. Oh, shoot. I also don't remember KP Lin's text, but let me get my card puller. Okay. What does KP Lane actually do? Whenever the runner passes all ice protecting the server, he or she must either take one tag or end the run. I mean, that's arguably playable. Yeah, it's actually, no, it's a reasonable comment to include. It's definitely something I can think about. I think part of the issue becomes when you look at the power of some of the other commons in the pool, and not in the upgrade slot, but if we go and look at, I would say even the ice slots, like, right, like, most of these cards I'm going to take before I take a KP Lin. Maybe not Wormhole, maybe not Firewall. You know, Assassin's questionable. Like, there's a couple things that are probably in the power, but on average, the power of a common is a little bit higher than I think a lot of common drafts in other sets. So I'm a little bit wary about including upgrades that never saw standard play in a pool that's mostly made of cards that saw play in standard at some point in time. Now, that might actually just be a fundamental failing of the cube, and it needs to incorporate more low power stuff, but that's just kind of where I'm thinking. But, okay, we got the important thing, which is that this DF is the first one. So, for DF, I want to get the first two things, and then find the types that are, get their types, and then sample a random rarity of the same type. So what do I need to do to get the first two? Is it Iloc 2? Oh, and of course this, so I need to go, well, if I do this again, okay, great. So now, this does give us the first two things. So this will be our rares. It's going to be this data frame, and it will just make copies of things just because we're not doing a lot of stuff. Oh, but I don't want this. I just want, whoops. We don't need to be recursive calling here. Okay. And so then we say, Hey, Daniel. No worries about it. And this is going to be a weird stream. This is not going to be a, there's not going to be Netrunner for probably another hour or two at least. So if that's, you know, if your jam is not watching a guy comb over spreadsheets and try to figure things out, I do not blame you at all for coming back next week. I think my goal is, I'm working on this project. I also want to spend a little bit of time on the custom set we've been making on stream today. And then hopefully next week we'll get back to grinding some standard. I think I want to try out, well, I was going to say try out some new runners, but immediately the runner I want to play is Greytongue with some tunes for the meta. But this week is going to be kind of side projects that are Netrunner related, but custom card stuff. I do actually have Mr. Hendrick in the pool, Ixaron, because I decided I need to do a little bit of support for brain damage HB if I want to include Ontological, which I think is a very good, it's a quintessential uncommon card, I think, that can go in different different potential builds. Also, I will say I'm hoping to have a video out this weekend that is about running and tips for getting better at runner. I've been chatting with people about it. I think I've gotten a lot of really good advice. And then sometime after that, I've already recorded with the Snare Bears a over 2-hour long conversation about the upcoming rotation without the context of where we don't know what's coming next. And I want to try and time that so it's once we know, I can time it so that when we know the release date before we've seen any major spoilers, and yeah, it's going to be so long for me to edit because I want to put card slide-ins for the people that don't play a lot of standard, because we actually, let me see. We mentioned to the level that I felt like pulling. Let me check how many cards we pulled. 160 cards, I think. Oh no, 159 cards we mentioned. Now, some of them are not actually rotated. I see, for example, we talked about Count Siphon, Breaking News, Jackson Howard, Haley, Hyperdriver, DDoS, Levy, NAPD. So we went off on some real tangents. But for those of you excited about that, I'm gonna spend, you know, a good 2 to 3 hours, well, probably 4 to 5 hours putting stuff in. But I'm excited. It was a very fun conversation. I hope people enjoy it. But anyway, let's go back to our thing. Okay, so now we need to get our we'll call this pack rares, actually, so I can get a pack uncommons. Okay, so now what I need to do is also get the baseline or rare pool. Oh, and so actually this needs to take in a second data frame, which is the card pool, which is also a data frame. This typing is honestly just so my autocompleter. Let's. I don't like the. Oh, maybe I just need more light so my face is not just like whiter than the sun. Just to get some other contrasting light. Yes, that's something. Also, if the let's see, I'm gonna play with other settings on this light. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Now my face is not actually glaring at the camera. Okay. Oh wow, I actually am super curious to see. I just want to actually run this and see what it gets me here. We're gonna cut this. Oh, and I need to give it the first draft. Okay. No, actually, product placement's a good one to include that I should have. Okay, so this is what this is telling me is that this is all of the rare ice that we can pull. So we're gonna pull and then we sample one, right? Actually, we're gonna sample two. No, we have to do this. Okay. So we need to go. Let's get some pack rares. Actually, here let's do this. And let's. This is like one of those things where it's like, this is the tragedy of being self-taught. I'd figure this all out myself. Whereas I'm sure if this was a basic data science class, everyone would be screaming at me like, this is how you do it, this is how you do it. But rare upgrades, and this will be rare pool 1. And so I need to. So if I call, this isn't rare upgrades, and then if I call 0 on this, it's mad at me. If I call 1 on this, it's mad at me. If I call loc, it's iloc, I think, 0. This gives me the type. Okay, so then what I'm just going to do is I'm going to go to rare pool 1, and we're just going to do a sample 1. And then we set rare pool upgrades iloc equal to this. And this is basically what we would do. Okay, so now if I run this, we now get a Museum of History into our pool, and then, cool. Okay, so this is basically what I need to do, is, now how do I do this iteratively? I guess I could just do an apply function, probably. I could make like a... How can I make this a little lambda function that I just run? And I can just apply it to my... Yeah, let's not worry about it. We can make this fancy, but this is already going to be way faster than I need, so we can just be modest and just make something that works. So actually now what I want to do is see if I can iterate through the rares. I mean, is it actually just easier to be fancy here? I'm trying to think what I want to do here. Okay, we're going to make our lambda function. And we want to get... Okay, so if this is my, like, this gets me my data frame. And the X I would put in here. Okay, let's actually just put this in. Well, no, I want to, like, make this work, prove to myself it works, and then make it a consistent function. So actually, you know what? We'll take out this rare pool function for now. Oops. Okay. And then... Okay, and so now I can call rare upgrades, and we get this. Okay, so now I want to do something like... apply... lambda x, and I take, I want to take the card pool, which is the first draft, and I say first draft, oops, rarity equals rare, just throw an extra bracket in, and then we, okay, let's try this. So this should now replace Ike and Hedge Fund with a rare ice and a rare operation. Oh no. Okay, that did not work. Rarity X. And I also need the card type to be equal, and X, oh no, and then this, and first draft type equals X type. Truth value of a series is ambiguous. Ay. There should be a way to do this that's not super complicated. Okay, we're gonna do this the dumb way, which is for row in rare upgrades. Ida rows. Okay, cool. So very basically this works. Why do I have to call row 1? What if I just call row? Okay, so if I call row 1, what does that actually get me? Okay, this gets me the thing. Okay. So, I need to get rare pool equals first draft, and then rare card equals rare pool sample 1. And then I just made, there's got to be, like, I'm sure there's a better way to set this, but we're just gonna, but this is not, we're just gonna call this function. Okay. And so now I should be able to call rare upgrades. Okay, so now we've got our rare ice, a rare operation, and we can just keep doing this. And we're just going to keep getting a rare ice, a rare operation. They're switching factions, and this works. Now, I would love to make this simpler by saying, can I just say row 1 equals rare card? Tuple object does not support item assignment. Okay. That is a bummer. I guess I could do another for loop inside here. This is going to be, doing a for loop across a data frame is slow, but this function is going to be, like, it's slow in the matter of, like, seconds, not in the matter of minutes, especially for data frames of these sizes. Okay, so the make this function work for uncommons, I just change this R to an N, and we continue onwards. So I can even just pass this, I can just make this a function. Upgrade rarities, and we get a card pool, but this is just a bunch of nonsense that Copilot wants me to use. Okay. And then our rarity is going to be a string, and then we cut all of these. And then instead of calling R, we call rarity. And then we return. Oops. Return. Oh, and this needs to be card pool. Let's not call this card pool because I'm calling this something else. We're going to call this draft pack. And then we just return the draft pack. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we go pack rares equals upgrade. Oh, okay. So we don't want to call this in here because, oh yeah, we do call it here though. Okay, so now we can go upgrade rarities, pack rares, R, and then pack uncommons, upgrade rarities. Actually, I think I don't want this copy. I think I want to change it on the original values, though I'm betting this yells at me. Okay. And I'm not actually using the card pool here. Oh, but I do need to. Okay, so let's go and change that. And this is going to be a PD data frame, and this needs to, all of these copies of first draft need to change to become card pool, so that when I change my card pool, I'm not stuck with the card pool I am using from forever ago. And so then I need to also pass it into here. Okay. Card pool. And now this should work. Nope. Okay. A must be greater than 0 unless no samples were taken. Okay. Well, let's start with just printing out this rare pool, I guess. Just so I can see. Okay, so it's failing. Okay. Interesting. What rare pool? So it's some kind of key error, I think. Where something is not right. Oh, you know, we're just going to do the simple thing, which is we're going to do a try, and then we're going to do accept print row. No, we're going to print as row 1. Okay, so it failed to upgrade it failed to upgrade 4 times, and they were all the uncommons. Oh, because I use U rather than N. Alright, well, my own cleverness coming back to bite me again. Okay. You know what? Let's just write a safety function for myself. A safety checker at the top here. If rarity not in Rn, raise value error. Rarity must be R or N. This way I save myself pain in the future. Okay, so now the problem is I am not returning the whole draft pack. I am returning this data frame. So now what I want to do... Maybe what I want to do is actually move my sample into my get comment into like a level up, so I split my pack before, grab the cards I'm going to upgrade, and leave the cards I'm not going to upgrade in 2 separate pools. I think that's the right way to do this. So this is, I'm going to take this sample function out of here. And make this the commons data frame. And to upgrade the baseline, I am going to call df sample 6. So this should give me the exact same results. The code still works. Great. Okay. Cool. That looks good. So then in this function, we're actually can go back to making our main function here. So we're going to get commons baseline on the card pool, and this is going to be our pack. And then we want to go, how can I, is it just like, is there a split function? There's gotta be a branch. So, I mean, I know this is a thing for machine learning. Let's see. Okay. Pandas sample and get. Oh, sample and remove. Oh, I guess I could get the. Okay, we're gonna do this in a bit of a silly way. So we're going to call this pack upgrades equals pack sample 6. Pack commons equals pack upgrades, and we want we want to exclude. So it's what's the way to do an exclusion? Exclusion join. Oh, okay. I guess I could do this. Equals pack dot is in pack, and then we go. Is it like? Let's just return pack commons pack upgrades, and we will just go and call our make corp pack first draft, and we should get our upgrade. We'll still call this upgrades and commons. So I'll call this, and then we're gonna just quickly call the upgrades. Oh, that's not what we want. That is not good. One, two, three, four, five, six. That's not great, though. That's no. That's okay. So my names are wrong, but this is kind of the way to do it. Let's see. Okay. So. Oh, okay, no, this should be okay. Oh, I feel like I need to actually do the duplicate detection, the commons baseline here for the case of the 2 hedge funds, but I might just skip that for now. So let's put need to put checker for duplicate commons in. So can we go to do? Okay. Great. Okay, so I need to fix this code. I think it's just pack. Let's try that. And then we call commons here. That is not what I was hoping to see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, this is not a good way to do it, but this will actually get the job done, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hey, Gus. No, I'm just kind of I'm just chipping away at this task. I think I'm almost there, though. Okay, so now we just put our... now we need to do our upgrade rarities on... Oh, no, it's just upgrade baseline now. Okay. Pack upgrades, and our card pool is card pool. Okay, so this function works a little bit differently now. Okay, so let's call this, and then we're going to call this, and then we're going to quickly go and call our upgrades. Rare, rare, neutral, or uncommon, 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 uncommon. Great. And then we would just concatenate these two and be all set. Well, okay, not all set, because we would look and say this has 0 HB cards in it, so we'd want to randomly grab a non HB card and randomly flip away. Okay, so then we would say pack equals PD concat pack commons, pack upgrades. Okay. And so now we can return the pack. We can call pack. And we need to run this code. And we can run this code. And we get, yeah. I mean, the display order doesn't actually matter. We'll change that. It's actually the easiest way to do this to make it easy to evaluate quickly is pack commons. Just do it this way. Oh. What? Okay. Great. Cool. So we can, in theory, now just run this as many times as we want, I believe, and keep getting new packs. And so the things left to do is to check this for duplicate cards, which I think is going to be, mono faction. NBN, Wayland, Jinteki. Wow, HB is underrepresented, overrepresented here. Yeah, okay. So then we just need to check if the number of unique factions is 5. And then we should probably just grab a card at random. Okay, so we're just going to set a pack, and then we're going to go pack, group by, is it faction, or is it capital fact? It's capital F faction. Count. Actually, do I just want to call like shape? Let's call it on hard. Okay, and then if I call the shape of this, what? Oh, it's shape. Okay. So if shape 0 not equal 5, oh, this is going to be annoying because it's, oh wait, I need to keep regenerating the pack when I call this code. Okay. Actually, I could do a while loop here, but let's just keep calling this until it gets us. There we go. Okay, so now I can call pack, and we can see. So this has no HB again, which is kind of wild. Okay, so then we need to sample 1, and then we need to go and... This is where this gets annoying. I actually wonder if I just sample any card. I wonder if I'm just supposed to sample any card. Like, if it's an upgrade, I think I just need to sample any common. And that maybe means there's a pack without an upgrade. Or a pack could end up with fewer than 2 agendas. I think what I'll maybe do is sample any type and then check to see if there's 2 agendas and 3 ice. Because that to me is the important thing. I think everything else can be a little bit fungible. Or I could let there be an extra rare or uncommon, but because of how lopsided the upgrades are, I'm a little bit trepidatious about that. Like, upgrades are just so lopsided as to be frustrating to handle in this game. This is actually part of why I was trying to do, you'll see here I have a function, so there's code gate barriers and sentries, the obvious one, but then there's also, if I clear this type filter, I called some cards economy, some cards tech, and some cards engine. And so the idea was like, oh, if an upgrade is really a like some part of a win condition engine, then any other win condition engine card is equally good. It doesn't have to be the exact same type. And that's maybe actually a better way when your types are not evenly distributed in their impact on the game. But what we actually need to do is find which faction is missing. So we need to get faction describe. Let's see. HB. It's Jinteki. NBN. Wayland and neutral. Okay. And then I just need to check. How do I check this? I mean, we could just, you know what? We're just going to do this in the dumb way. Okay, for faction in faction list. Oh, let's spell faction correctly. Yeah, that's actually another clean way to do it. Okay. So if equals 0. I don't need this print statement. I know what that is. I guess we could just return faction. And then we would put the, oops, and this would be something like our faction checker. Pack is the data frame. And we'll return none if this is not true. Okay. Yeah, I guess this, so my plan is actually just do this iteratively until everything passes. It is super, super clunky. You're right. Returning a list of factions is probably correct. Because, like, in theory, it should happen at some point. I think my plan is to just do it by recursively looping. Which is, like, a much greedier way to do it. And maybe it's so greedy that it's not actually saving me any simplification in the code or anything else. And actually, this is going to be a list of strings, and it's just going to be this. And so we should, oh goodness, I apparently can't use my own keyboard. This way, if we get non-neutral, if we get other court factions, we can make this work. Yeah, okay, so we need all of these. Are you mad at me because I don't have any code here? Okay, so we go if faction checker pack is none, return the pack. Cool. And we need to pass this. Oh, and here we actually want to pass the faction list as well. And this should take our faction list. And then we replace this with our faction list. And in theory, now I can reuse this code for the runner side as well. And then if it's not that, so the dumb way to do this is just to throw this in like a while loop. But this doesn't do what I want to do. I mean, I could just do while true. Right, this just loops, this will just loop this function until it returns. Okay, so I now need to do my faction replace. Pack card pool and the faction string. Great. Okay. So now we do. Why is this mad at me now? Oh, because I need to actually call this function. Okay, or I need to define this function. So we get this is not right though, or this is not sufficient. Card pool, faction equals faction, sample one. This gives us our new card. But we actually need to do some other stuff. So we need to get pack sample one equals replace to be replaced card, and then we want and card pool rarity equals to be replaced card rarity. So we're just gonna say it's gonna be the same card, not guaranteed to be of the same. Oh no, this also doesn't. Oh no, yeah, any card of the same rarity. So that's, I think, fine. And then to be replaced card and there's definitely an easier way to do this, but this is fine. And we'll just try, actually, yeah, here. So let's, oh, actually, I need to store my values. Okay. Missing faction equals this if missing faction is none. Else we call function replace pack missing faction card pool. And we just do this. Okay. So, and then we return. Oh no, this is already returning the pack, so it should do everything we want. But let's try faction replace first. Pack HB. Okay, it is mad at me for some reason. The truth value of a series is ambiguous. Let's see, where are we? I've got lost in my code. This is the, I think I need to put this, I need to put these in parentheses. No? Oh, I think that was probably right. Okay, yeah, because that gets us to a new error, maybe? Oh, can only compare identically labeled series. I just call, let's see. These should be the same series, though. This should be the same length thing. Okay, well, we'll just call this and debug this outside. We want these to be our first draft, and have this be HB. And let's just grab a N. Oh, do I have like? Okay, so this actually just worked. So this should be the same thing. Okay, so this is just... Okay, so what's different about this and this? Is this not a singular value? Okay, let's go pack sample 1. Oh, whoops. That's not what I'm doing, okay. Sample 1, rarity. Okay, let's just try the, okay, let's, because I'm betting that this is my problem. Well, it's not necessarily my problem, but we can try it first. So Lucas, in theory, yes, but in practice, because we're saying that we're only calling this function when there's no cards of that faction in the pack, it shouldn't. Okay. If I call this identically labeled series objects. If I call this value, there we go. Okay, so I just need to put the values on these. Okay. So I think if I do this. Okay, so we didn't actually replace the card. Is neutral a faction for that purpose, or can you get multiple neutral cards? Neutral is a faction for the purpose of this. You can get multiple neutrals, maybe. I'm not sure if that's exactly what you're asking. Okay, so let's start by just making sure that this card we're returning is the right type, and then we can figure out why it's not copying over correctly. Okay, cool. So it's just pulling me various cards. Fantastic. Okay, so now I need to go back to my original data frame. And I need to get, here, let's return my to be replaced card. And then what I need to do is go, I need to go and get my pack. Oh, I should do this in a separate line so I can get it consistently. Okay. So we're going to call it here, and then we're going to call it here. My card that's going to be replaced is Amani Sanai. I think this is my... let me just actually do a quick Google replace values. To replace a string regex. Let's see. Place a data frame row with another data frame row. Let's get these. Ah, okay. This may be a good way to do it. Okay. Okay, so we would go pack. We would actually get, is it Loke? And what was this? Okay. And then to be replaced card. We're gonna do this clunky first, and we're going to do it clean second. Okay. So then we're going to go. Okay, I see what they're doing. Okay, so they're saying calls equals list of pack columns. And then we're going to call card calls values. And then we call pack, and we see we have big deal in our pack now. We do now have big deal in our pack. So I think this is basically just, I just add this function in to here, and we return the pack. And we just say, and this is equal to our pack. Okay. And so now we would call faction swap on our pack with first draft. And what we need to do is run this again until we get another true, which might take a second. Okay, let's take a look at this pack before we make any modifications to it. What are we missing? We are missing Wayland this time. We got Drafter and Mogo, but we did not get a Wayland card. Okay, this is, that's a concerning slowness. Very concerning slowness. Ah, I think I see why. This replace card is not defined. So I want to be replaced card here. Oops. Okay, let's try this again now. Fantastic, that's pretty fast. And we now have an Urban Renewal in this pack. Fantastic. Okay, so this is cool. It now looks like we can get through this relatively easily. I actually wonder if I should just guarantee 0 upgrades. Now that if my upgrader, I think I actually have to do 0 upgrades. Yeah, this is annoying because my upgrades are not well distributed. It's like there's just gonna be so many Maviruses and Biovolts floating around. Should my upgrade just not care about the type? Maybe my upgrade should only care about the type if it's an agenda. I think actually that might be fine. Let's go back to our upgrade rarities. Okay. If card pool type, no, if row 1, this is ugly, but we're just gonna do it. Equals agenda. We call this. So if it's an agenda, we're guaranteed to upgrade it to a better agenda. If it's not an agenda, we call the same thing, but we don't care about any of this. We just want to upgrade the rarity. And it can be of any card in any faction. Okay, so let's leave a note for ourselves in the future. No, that's not at all what I want. This is just a bunch of garbage. Okay. If the card is an agenda, only upgrade to other agendas. Otherwise, upgrade to any other type. From any other type to any other type, including agendas. Just to be explicit for when I look back at this in like a month and have forgotten about everything. And so then we have to go back to our initial thing. We're going to take off the 1 upgrade. I'm going to go back to 4 flex cards. And we need to go to get commons baseline. We call this 0. Yeah, this is probably the case where it's like, oh, I should start setting parameters that I pass to this function so I can edit this quickly rather than doing all of these. There's probably ways or there definitely are ways I can loop this to be nice and easy to work with. But we're being quick and dirty to be hopefully more readable. Okay, so I just wrote some code to do the faction swap. So I need to move this up into here. And then we should be able to just call faction swap on here, right? If we're not guaranteeing one upgrade per pack, why do we keep type only for agendas? Because I want to make sure there are always 2 agendas in the pack. Everything else I want to be flexible. If there's not always 2 agendas in the pack, the likelihood that a player is unable to draft a legal deck gets much higher. And I want to be able to up... So the other thing is that when we look at our pool of things, upgrades are skewed towards uncommons and rares, and there's very few commons. And, you know, one solution for this is for me to go and find more common upgrades, and that's something I should go and do, like just out of diligence. This distribution's way out of whack. I need... If I'm going to have... Basically, I can probably go something like 8, 10, 8 with this pool, so I would take away 7 from here and basically put almost all of... I would cut a couple upgrades and put a few more in here. But if because this is a different like size, the sampling is going to be a little bit funky. So I wanna have resampling at each level of rarity, because I don't have a uniform distribution across all card types and all rarities. Hopefully that answers your question. Isn't me just bullshitting. I'm gonna put this at the end because I forget if that matters for Python. I think it might, but okay. So this pack has Drago, Quandary, Hostile, Hendrik, Next Activation Command, Nisei Mark II, Mitsubaku, Shipment from Sansan, DBS, Jackson, Hansei, Ivik, and Turtlebacks. It's a good pack. This is a very good pack. There's a lot of hard choices in this pack. Maybe this is like, yeah, some of these cards are really powerful. I could see moving Turtlebacks up to an uncommon, for example, easily here. I actually want Jackson at common because I want there to be a good chunk. Now, I haven't corrected for duplicates here, but I think that should only be possible with hedge funds right now. Let's see, we got 4 Jatekis, 4 Wayland, 4 NBNs, a single Wayland, so we probably called our function a neutral and 2 HPs. Okay, so let's just... Actually, we can just call this. Alright, Wayland, HP, Wayland, Jateki, neutral. Cool. So, one thing I need to go and do, and I think this is probably not a thing for the stream, is actually sample this code and make sure that my average distribution matches my intended theoretical distribution. So all the factions end up with roughly the same stuff. Each faction gets a legal number of points every time. For two players, maybe 2.5 players per faction. And things of that nature. But yeah, this is... It's interesting because I'm like, a lot of these rare... I mean, seeing Shipment from 10 a couple times, UCF twice. Yeah, I'm going to have to look and like say, okay, if I call this function... Actually, let's just do this, right? So we're going to... Okay, so what we do is we go, we're going to just call it reset index on these. Okay. For I in range, it's 5 packs times 8 players. And then we're going to go, Wait, what? This is still working, right? Okay, let's take out the PD concat in case that's causing me issues. Cannot compute is in with a duplicate access. Should we just reset the index? I bet you that's just going to do it if I just reset index on the pack. And this is a bad way to do it because what this I think is telling me is that I am pulling two of the same thing. But I'd rather be lazy and fast and fix it later. Okay. We'll run this a couple times, but it looks like I think that was the problem. Okay, so then we run PD concat on this. And we go reset index is true. Okay, and now we're going to go group by card. I just want to get the counts. We'll just call card on card, right? Oh no, this isn't gonna work, but we'll call rarity, I guess. And we will. Okay, actually, what we'll do is we will let's see. Actually, here we'll just put this to a CSV. And this cannot be named that, but this is drafted pool V1. Okay, and now we can open up drafted pool V1 with our CSV viewer. Okay, so we got 6 copies of AR security. Okay, 7 copies of hedge fund, 8 copies of Famitsu, 8 copies of bailiff, a lot of ontological dependencies. Okay, so this is immediately telling me there's something a little bit not quite how I would like. I was expecting that these 8s and 7s should be very, very rare. Actually, let's go and get the rarity for these cards as well, just so that we can do that second level evaluation. So this is pool counts is this. I will just call pool counts real quick. And I think I need to go reset index. I'm annoyed at how often I end up calling this command, but that's fine. Okay. I feel like I'm calling it too often, but it's just like, it's so convenient for how I think about data. So, first draft, pool counts, how left on card. And I want to just rename this. And we're gonna go pool counts, rename copies, and that seems like that should be fine. Okay. And we'll call this to CSV, corpse spreadsheet, and let's take a look at our first oh, I just take this off. Okay. Okay, great. So now we can go by our copies. Yeah, so like AR enhanced security again is much more common than I'm expecting it to be, right? My expectation is that, or my intention was that there should be at most three copies or less 95% of the time. Clearly that's wrong. Same thing has happened with my with some commons here, but there's not too many. Future Perfect also showing up too often. Yeah, this is not ideal. I have to do actual debugging on whether my math is wrong, which I think is pretty likely. Or if there's something in my algorithm that's screwing me up. Okay, so almost all commas are seen. And let's see, how many are there? I wish this would tell me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, actually, you know what? Okay, we can... If we're doing this kind of stuff, we can... Okay, here's what we'll do. Okay. Rarity equals common. And we can just call reset in. I guess we can get shape. It's not freaking... Okay, so there's 86 commons in the pool. And according to my original math, 86 commons should have 6 or fewer copies 95% of the time. Yeah, should be 95% of the time we're getting fewer than 6 copies. And then we need to... Okay, this music I'm actually not a big fan of. It's a little bit too growly. Okay. Let's see. What do I want to do this by? Is it sort values by copies? Okay. Now maybe this is actually the... If we're at 95% of the time. And we've got 84. What is that math? Like the clumsy way to do it, but... Okay, so maybe it's actually a little bit expected that there should be a couple cards that we're seeing more than... Yeah, like 4-ish cards, and we actually see 3. Hedge funds should actually be even more common than they are, but that's fine. In this particular run of it. Okay. If I then look at uncommons, though, I think we're in some real trouble. Okay, so there's a lot of uncommons we saw none of. Like, a lot that we saw none of. And I bet you the ones we're overseeing are agendas. And yes, that is the case. So I bet to fix this, I need to do my randomization so that the type is not agenda, so that I preserve this balance. Because the slight oversampling of agendas. Okay, so what we're going to do is go... And, so let's try excluding agendas here. So let's run this. That worked. Then we're going to run this. Oh, that made it worse. Does that consistently make it worse? Oh, wait, did I say equals equals? I did make it equals equals. I want not equals. Okay. That's probably not why you code, Lucas, but yeah, this is... Okay, great. Now we're in a better place where we have 3 cards that we're seeing more often than we should, a bunch of 3s, and then a couple of 2s, and then just a few 1s, and then a bunch of nans. Now I look at these and I'm like, oh, some of these I really want in the pool, and so maybe I actually want to lower my uncommons to commons, increase my number of commons in the pack. Like, there's lots of ways I could play around with this. Yeah, it's like I think I put snare, boom, and scorched, and in here. So it's actually worth looking at boom, scorched. Okay, so something's not going correctly. Scorch. Oh wait, is this just commons? Ah, yes, it is just commons. Okay. Select all, apply. Okay, so if I look at scorched, boom, heart. Okay, it searches some things. Okay. Hi. Do I have other filters on, or am I just writing a subset here? I'm probably just writing a subset. Oh, I'm not rewriting the sheet at all. Okay. Lol. I don't want this name 100%. Okay. Okay, this is looking a little more reasonable. Okay, so we've got 2 punitive counter-strikes, so only 1 person gets to play punitive. And it looks like boom, high-profile target, and scorched earth are missing the cut, which suggests to me that I need to play around with their specific... Wait, probabilities? Okay, what's going on here? This should be all my cards. There's no way I didn't have boom in this. What? Okay, hold on. Hold on. We're gonna open this up separately. So if I don't have Scorched in here, I need to just go back and redo this pool, but Scorched Earth, I have as an uncommon, Boom as a rare, and High Profile Target as a rare. Okay, so let's look at the rares then and see if those ended up in here. But maybe I actually want to make... and I have End of the Line as a common. Okay. And in fact, there are a lot of End the Lines. Okay, well that's a good number of End the Lines. Okay, let's just take this code down here so that I can run it. We're going to clear the outputs. Forget how to do that though. Okay, and then we can look at rares. Okay, so 4 booms in this pool, 4 Anansis, 4 Architects. So this suggests to me I probably actually want to add like 10 more rares to the pool if I can. To lower the commonality of these. Because I think the goal of these is that there should only be 1 to 2 99% of the time or something like that. So if I actually say that's my criteria, and I actually want to get to 2. Let's say I go to 100 rares. That's not enough. I would need 120 rares. Okay, I would need 130 rares, probably. Oh my goodness, that's like really hitting the diminishing returns here. So the other question is, okay, the other option is I could have fewer rares and set down the number of rares per pack, set up my number of uncommons, increase my total number of uncommons as well. Or I could be even more aggressive, increase my common pool, decrease my uncommon numbers, decrease my rare numbers. Because going from 80 to 130 rares is adding 50 more rare cards, and that's mostly going to be pilfering from the uncommons, upgrading things to rares, and then having to pull in more worse cards into the common slot. Or shrinking my... Or the other way is I remove the worst cards from the card pool. And... Wait. Do I just have to add? I mean, the way I'm solving this is just by adding. Let's see. I mean, the other option is instead of even though I'm randomizing on a per pack basis, I look at a full pool and do some post fixing, but I don't like that solution. I think I would rather look at other solutions to this. Question is there bias in these? Operations and ice? I don't think so. So this really would just be that I have to expand my rare... I have to increase my rare pool by about 50% to get the result I want. Which is a lot. Right now, when I look at by faction, let's just see how many rares I have in a faction. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I would need to add about another 7 rares to the pool for each faction. So maybe I actually just need to go down to 1 rare per pack. If I actually like these as rares. It's gonna throw off literally everything else. But I think I need more certainty than I have. I was like, oh, 93 will be enough. But no, if I'm dealing 8 packs, if I'm dealing 40 packs effectively, a 95% is maybe not even enough. It would actually need to be higher with 2 rares. So if I take this down to 1 rare per pack and take this back down to 80, that actually gets us even more work. Okay, so then if I look at total uncommons going up to 5, just for the sake of this, let's keep plucking through where this goes. It's only an 85% with copies of 3 or less. If we say copies of 4 or less, we're at 95. Maybe I'm okay just moving my definition instead of being as prescriptive. And then 5 copies is going to be 98% of the time. Okay. So that means that there will be a couple 5s, maybe 1 or 2 6s in the uncommon slot. Maybe more than you like. So if I wanted to make 4 about a 98%, I would probably need what, like 150? Yeah. Okay. So if I instead take this down to 4 and this up to 8, I could keep my current pool of uncommons, though I should actually look at my my number here. Okay, I've got 127. Oh, okay. So if I have 127 and I go back up to 5 and 7, so this is a total of 13 cards in the pack, I'm at 97.8. So I'm actually in a really good spot for 4 copies of an uncommon to show up as the distribution. And I should probably try and plot out the bell and see how this actually moves to distribution. But that seems like the better way to go. So I think what we're going to do is cut a rare and add an uncommon. And I need to actually... This doesn't actually change anything, so I need to go and find where in my code I actually go and get it. It is here. Okay. And now if I make this pack, it's got 1 rare, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 uncommons. Okay, and so now we can run this, and then we run this, and we're down to 2 copies of a rare. That's great. That is where we want to be. Most rares don't show up. Now that probably means I want to move something like Boom down into the uncommon slot, or maybe hard-hitting some other one. Like I want to move Kill down to make it a little more accessible. I maybe want to move some fast advanced pieces down into the uncommon. Like I might actually inflate some of the cards that were in rare down to uncommon. Just so they do show up. And we see 6 border controls, 6 breaking newses, and then everything else is at 4 or fewer copies. Most cards get seen, but there's still a chance to miss some things. Which kind of cool. But yeah, for example, we're seeing no Scorched Earth, no Booms in this pool. And like, that probably suggests to me that I need to move some of those down to common, because I think if we go and look at commons, basically everything should be in the pool at least once. It's interesting that hedge fund's not consistently the highest. It's not like double everything else. Yeah, Ixaron, we're making good progress. I think I'm going to step away from doing this pretty soon, because I want to get to some other projects. But yeah, this is actually, like, this is maybe the thing I want to think about is commons are things I want to be in every single draft pod. Uncommons are things that should be in most draft pods and can't quite depend on. And then rares are things you're excited to include in your deck because they showed up and they match what you're doing. But yeah, this is getting somewhere. I need to do a lot more sanity checking. And then what I will probably do is try and build a super quick and dirty tool so that we can run drafts digitally with these as the packs, because just iterating on this, because there's a lot to tweak, the algorithm can get tweaked as the pack formation algorithm can get tweaked, and then the pack pools also need to get tweaked. And so there's lots of things to commingle here. But I think this is a good starting point. The thing I want to work on is the custom card set. And apology, I was trying to figure this out when the stream started. So this is the other, where's my freaking, okay. So this is Nandeck, for those of you not familiar with it. This is a thing that goes and makes, can do basically card game piece templating. Okay, here we are. And so what's cool about this is, what's going on? Okay, let's try doing this. Okay. So this is the custom card set that we were working on stream a little while ago. And I was just like, hey, you know what it'd be fun for me to go and put these in frames and start looking at it. And so I spent like an hour this weekend just going and reformatting everything, moving it to a new spreadsheet, and putting these cards together. And it was honestly a lot of fun, and it's really cool to see these cards in frames. So maybe I'll take a minute and we'll go over. Actually, we don't need this, but we probably do want my spreadsheets thing. And I don't need this guy, but I probably do want this. And we're gonna just shrink it. Okay. So I'm going to do a little bit of fiddling to make the setup work for me. Oh, that's annoying for me. Wait, I really can't minimize this window without minimizing that window. Okay. So I've been making this in Google Sheets for a bit, but this is not actually NSG frames, Ixaron. These are, and thank you for reminding me, this is Reckless Cat. Reckless Cat made their own custom frames that are open for the community to use, which is super, super cool. They only used NSG assets that were in the like public release of NSG things. So that's, I think, pretty, like, I'm very excited about that. And, like, if I ever was going to try and print these, I would probably just use these frames and, like, use AI art, which I know some people in the community dislike. But I am not an artist, and I don't have quite the popularity to get all of these arts made for a set that is probably never going to get. Yep, it's just using NSG icons, which is what's legal. Okay. So let's go through these cards quickly. So I've made a couple modifications, and there's some stuff you can see, like the formatting here. Like if you were to really print this, you would have to put some spacing in, or otherwise change the outline of the text box so it cuts around the strength. But got Abraxas. The first time each run, you use this breaker to break a subroutine. Place a power counter on this card. Whenever you break a subroutine without using this program, remove all power counters. The strength of this program is equal to the number of power counters hosted on it. 2 credits to break a subroutine, 2 credits for 2 strength. I mean, this actually looks kind of weak as I'm looking at it, but it is a universal AI breaker without much downside. The 2 to break 1 subroutine seems brutal. I would we can probably make this a 2 for 2. So it's not quite as atrocious. Maybe you want this to be 2 for 1 so that it's more of a, it's not everything. Let's see. Wind up watch. When your turn begins, pay 1 for each power on this card, or remove all power counters from this card. First time each turn you make a successful run on R&D or HQ, access 1 additional card for each power counter on this card. If you made a successful run on both R&D and HQ this turn, place a power counter on this card. Hey Eric, so this is stuff we've been making on stream on and off for over a year. So, you know, I am trying to make interesting cards, but definitely not going to always succeed. And the goal is to be roughly balanced, though definitely towards the end of last stream, I definitely migrated away from balanced. Yeah, these are maybe not draft cards. Yeah, this being an outlet for infinite money is definitely tricky. I think that was the idea, is that it's a greedy little program. And it's just like demanding that you use this and nothing else. In practice, it probably needs a bunch of testing to get anything that's close to usable. But yeah, these cards I think are more meant to be in the context of a sort of standard format. I'm basically always planning to be like, oh, what if this was the next release instead of the next NSG release? How would this go? So this is sort of a mini quest card. So you make a quest and then you get to multi-access and then get some additional access. We got Baby Siphon because Account Siphon just needs to come back. This one is probably really bad. But I'll let Eric finish typing out your thoughts before we go back. Oh yeah, you totally can. Yeah. No, this is like, yeah, you bounce an Enigma, break a subroutine. So you spend 2 credits to basically get +1 strength permanently, and then you just have to use this breaker for the rest of the game. That's why it's the 2 credits break a subroutine, because it does just boost strength infinitely. And so it's just like, you don't want to break multi-sub ice, but you can break single sub ice actually very efficiently in a lot of cases. Yeah, this is probably broken. But that's okay. This is actually just Siphon, but you have to run all 3 centrals for it to actually have the power of Siphon. Actually, no, that's not quite true, the way this is worded. The way this is worded is you can run HQ 3 times, then Baby Siphon... Bibby. Wow, that's a good typo. Baby Siphon them, and Siphon them for 6. Doesn't the second paragraph need to say base strength? I think that's probably right, and I can actually replace the X with this, so it's, yeah. So this isn't going to render for you guys, because the rendering process is fairly slow. I guess I could try. But yeah, okay. This is why I didn't do this, and I can't stop it now, so we're just gonna have to hang out for a second. But yeah, it's definitely meant to be soft Sable support for sure. But we'll just wait for this to finish rendering. It will probably take. Actually, I wonder if I close this if it will go faster. Let's not worry about it. Yeah, defining X is the other option, right? Oh yeah, it's just X is the number of hosted power counters. Yeah. Ugh. X is number of power counters hosted on this card. Okay. Well, again, that's not going to show up here, Celestial Spark, because I don't want to keep re-rendering this every time. because this is a 66 card set right now, which is actually getting to be a pretty good number. Like, that's in theory a number you could release. And one of the things I wanted to look at was like what factions are over and under distributed, what factions need total reworks, cough cough HB. But yeah, let's get this almost there, I think. Oh no, we're at card 49, so we've got a minute or two to wait. Maybe I'll close this. See if that speeds it up. That maybe it does look to have sped it up a little bit, which is a little concerning, but hey, you know, so it goes. Oh wow, it is 9:30 already. I guess that makes sense. Okay, and now we can open up the card preview again, and hopefully it gets captured by OBS. Oh no, what's going on? All right, we're gonna close this, and we're gonna... Yeah, I will in just a second. Oh, do I have to really run this all over again? Okay, we're gonna, you know what? We're gonna look at stuff on the sheet, and when we'll render the images later. So Baby Siphon is, let's fix the text on this. Baby Siphon, when this run is successful for each, I think it's each different. For each different central... Actually, no, you know what? Let's be ambitious. For each successful run on a central you made on a central server. Okay, so the text for this is, oh, let me move my face to the other side. Okay. Okay, this thing is pretty cracked in Sable, right? I mean, right now this is run archives. Oh, this needs to say make a run on HQ. Whoops, that's the last part of this. That's the first. That's a missing first sentence clause. Make a run on HQ. Break. If successful, instead of accessing, the corp loses 2 credits for each successful run you made on the central server this turn, and you gain 2 credits for each credit lost, then take 2 tags. So now you could run archives 4 times, siphon for 8, no, siphon for 10 and gain 20. So this is really, really good in that play pattern. And so probably does need to say on a different central server so that your ceiling is drain 6, gain 12, and your common floor is drain 2, gain 4, which is probably not playable, so you actually need to make this combo. The reason I did this is because I kind of wanted to make this card make sense. And though I'm not sure that... so it's be run archives 3 times, then siphon, and the corp loses 8 and you gain 16. Yeah. And then you take 2 tags. It is an access replacement. I guess this would say instead of breaching, right, is the modern NSG templating. The corp loses 2 credits for each successful run you made. Next card is Doppel Mobius, which is the first time you finish a successful run, you may initiate a successful run on any server. If it is the same server, gain 2 credits if that run is successful. Is this better than Siphon? I don't think it is, Ixaron, because you have to spend... Siphon, you could go click 1, drain 5, gain 10, get into the remote, clear the tags, or do something else with your tempo. This is saying I have to run HQ, run R&D, run archives, and then Siphon. No, replacing a breach and replacing a single access are not different. Or when I say replace, whenever I template a card here that says instead of accessing, that's instead of breaching is the new term. And that's what it means. You know what? Let's just say if... I mean, to be honest... Yeah, I mean, it should be clear. You know what? Let's do this. Oh, God. It's like you may... Instead of breaching, take 2 tags. Corp loses, and then we just say, then the Corp loses 2 credits for each successful run you made on Central Server this turn, and you gain 2 credits for each credit lost. Okay. Double Mobius. 1 MU. Initiate around the... I mean, we could actually just... I mean, the thing is, this is probably just Penny Shaver, better than Penny Shaver now that I think about it. Okay. Take 2 tags. If you do, the Corp loses 2... Yeah, there's probably, you know, this is where you would get a rules editor to clean this up, but thank you, Celestial Spark. I think that's good. Yeah, I don't... This card seems weird. It is just kind of Penny Shaver again. Let me see if Nandek has finished. Okay. Hey, there we are. I wish I could figure out how to change the size of this image. I can't quite. So we're going to have to just kind of live with some slightly weird framing. Hey, Mondo Greensleeves. Yeah, we've been having a nice time. We've been doing non-Netrunner playing stuff. Which is so we've spent the first half of the stream working on the draft pool. We have a basic algorithm for that. And now it's mostly about fixing the pool, I think. And then now we're doing a completely separate project on making cards. Do all Crim consoles have to make credits to be considered playable? I think not. So I might leave myself a comment that this is in needs redesign or something. Oh, and let's move this to here. Actually, you know what? We'll just... Where can I put this that I will remember it? We'll just give this a redesign. I think the idea is that I want this console to empower Baby Siphon. I want this console to empower Wind Up Watch, which I think are both interesting cards. But Doppelganger was bad, and I don't think Doppelganger, like Wind Up Watch, wouldn't make Doppelganger a playable card. So, and like I don't think Sable, like maybe Sable can play Wind Up Watch and just hope that her mark ends up on HQ or R&D. Like these are kind of all. It's funny. I must have made these just after Borealis dropped because these are all Sable support cards that don't say mark on them. Which is kind of funny. Okay, next up we've got Crew Trial. Make a run on any server. The first time a server team will resolve this run, lose 3 credits instead of resolving the effect. I think probably you'd want to word this like Bankar, which is the first time a server team will resolve, instead resolve, subroutine, lose 3 credits. And then the second time a subroutine will resolve this run, instead resolve, gain 2 credits. But I think the intent of this card is clear. I'm not sure if a inside job that costs 3 credits and gives you 2 tags is good. If you're playing a Tag Me deck, it's obviously good, right? So I don't know. Yeah, this is a card that I would be a little bit scared about. Okay, so when I look, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Crim cards. 4 of which are Sable support, so we probably need more Crim cards. Okay, we've got Scrappy the Salvager. Probably need, very playtest name. Trash a card from your grip, install a card, reducing its install cost by 2. Wait, why am I giving paid ability speed? I think this isn't what I want. I think I want the Patchwork effect, which is, like, atrocious as a card. I wonder if this could be something like, trash a card from your grip, gain 2 credits. You may take this action only on your turn, and your next action must be to install a card. I wonder if that's a cleaner version of Patchwork. Because I think Patchwork, if I remember correctly, has some of the worst text in all of Netrunner. So let me go and see what Patchwork's current legal rules text is. Because I think that was my intent, was to have a Patchwork on an ID. Interrupt: whenever you would play or install a card, you may trash 1 card from your grip. If you do, instead play or install that card, paying 2 less usability only once per turn. I mean, I could just copy this text, right? If the goal is to be Patchwork, let's just not make our lives more difficult. Okay. And the people... Okay, so we need to put in interrupt. Whenever you would install a card, you may trash 1 card from your grip. If you do, instead install that card. Usability only once per turn. Yeah, Solomir, I'm not sure, and that's like why I'm leaving it as a redesign thing for right now, to maybe come back to it. Maybe it should just be a different server, right? Yeah, actually, you know what? I think that's how you make this not just Penny Shaver. So actually, okay, let's just go back to Doppel Mobius. Even though it's not Mobius. It's like Doppel not Mobius, right? I think the original idea was it was going to be a Mobius. So you could just bang bang on one server. But I think going bang bang like is more interesting than hammering the same server twice. If that run is successful, and it was a different server. Gain 2 credits. Okay. And this is definitely something that you could look at changing the cost for to make it a bit more... Like, if 3 is too cheap because it pays off after 2 turns, fine. You make some adjustments, right? Okay, so we've changed Scrappy the Salvager, but effectively he's doing patchwork stuff. Trash Cannon. If you trash a card this turn, increase the base strength of this program by 3. Oh, I didn't fix that hanging C. But this is a 4 cost, base strength 2, 3 credits plus 1 strength, break 1 subroutine for 1 credit. Okay. I mean, let's see. So this is getting the strength 5 if we use the ID ability or do any of a myriad list of things, like a daily cast triggering, a fermenter triggering. This is a very strong card as I think about this more. I could maybe see this costing 5 to install, and probably going up to 3 influence, so it's not the automatic Sentry Breaker in Shaper. Because like an Aesop's deck would play the shit out of this at 2 influence. It might even play the shit out of this at 3 influence, but like this would rival Bagalter in efficiency. So this card's probably can't stay with these numbers, but I'd rather be exciting initially. Probably what you do is you keep it at 2, increase the base strength by 2, and then require some Data Sucker support. I guess I could just make those changes. So we'll leave this at cost 4, but increase the base strength by 2 instead of 4. And we'll fix the dangling credit. Next up, we got Sisyphus. Oh, and I did not change any of the credits on this guy, so that's a thing to catch. Okay, the first time you turn, you break all subroutines using Sisyphus. You may return a card from your heap, then remove 1 card in the heap from the game. Then 2 credits, break 2 barrier subroutines, 2 credits plus 2 strength on a 0 strength 5 cost Fractor. I don't know. I was trying to figure out if you could explore the Fractor space at all, and if you're binning a bunch of cards, having a little bit of recursion seems neat. This might be broken. This might be unplayable. A 5 cost 0 base strength seems pretty bad. It's kind of like Adversificator numbers with different effects. Next up, we got Boot and Rally. Maybe I'll make these cards a little bit bigger here. I don't know if they were too small to read before or not. Yeah, that's a good point, Celestial Spark. So probably what you do is the court may remove a card in the heap from the game, then you may... Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so we're going to rework this as to be the corp may remove a card in the heap from the game, then you may add a card in the heap to the grip. It's supposed to be capitalized. I feel like it's supposed to be. Boot and Rally is a resource. The first time each turn, you trash a card from your grip, draw a card. You think this should be unique? You think Boot and Rallying should be unique? I kind of like the idea. I think part of me is this is a draw engine card. And I don't know if if you actually want to be installing 2 of these consistently. But this is where playtesting would be a big deal. Yeah, Augustus, that is like the other immediate thought, but Yeah, actually, I think you're right. It is probably too punishing to show the other player your entire heap and go, bleh, pick something. Okay. Choose 2 cards. Heap. The corp chooses 1 and removes it from the game. You may add the other card to your grip. Okay. I think that's a better place for Sisyphus to start. I like the idea of giving it more modularity by not making it unique unless you give it an on play. Yeah, I think that's the thing when I'm looking at this card is it probably does nothing the turn you play it unless you install this and then use the ID trigger, or you pop something like a fermenter or the last use of a liberated account or something. So like this card takes 4 triggers to break even, which is a lot of triggers to break even. Ixaron, this doesn't draw when you play a card. Because when you play a card, it does not trash the card from the grip. The card goes into the play area and then gets trashed from the play area. So playing events doesn't trigger Boot and Rally. Anacam is the example card we would compare this to. Let me go and pull up Anacam. Where are you? Okay, Anacam says, first time an event is trashed from any location, draw a card. And so Anacam covers both trash from the hand and trash from the play area, which is where events actually get trashed from, which is the difference between Boot and Rally and Anacam. Boot and Rally is basically saying, yeah, that's a good point, Daniel. And maybe I should put that in. It's just a weird reminder text. Like, played events are trashed from play, not hand. Okay. That'll be on the next rendering of these set of cards, but not this one, obviously, because it takes a bit. Next up, Crazy Ivan. Make a run on archives. If successful, instead of breaching, trash any number of cards from your grip. Randomly trash a card from the corporation's hand. Woof. From HQ is a much simpler way to say the same thing. From HQ, for each card trashed from the grip. Apparently I'm doing lowercase. I should check to see what the correct nomenclature is. Okay, it is lowercase for those locations. Okay. So Crazy Ivan is kind of meant to be a wonton type effect. I think it is potentially quite a bit stronger because it makes the run on archives. That would probably be one of my first balance levers on this card, is making this run on HQ like Wanton Destruction does. And like, it is tempoing yourself, but you could imagine there, like, you get to choose, so like you could trash a Steelskin Scarring and draw a bunch of cards off of a Crazy Ivan. You wouldn't be able to trash a Steelskin and then trash additional things because you have to pay all of your costs and then effects resolve. But I don't know, this seems like a very impactful card, and Alice players will love it, I think. Next up, we've got Jamming Device. If this card is trashed when it is not installed, you may install it. So the idea is that you can throw this out from your hand and then install it for a credit. And then it has trash, remove a tag, use this ability only during your turn, and then trash, lower the strength of the currently encountered ice by 3. This doesn't work with Chisel, but it is sort of a data sucker-ish card that can't get purged, which is maybe cool. I don't know. This seems... Not quite sure what I was doing with this card. It's like a little bit of a utility card. But... Yeah, maybe it's just unplayable. I think I was looking for like, can you make up some kind of Aesop's engine or something with this? But yeah. Oh, I should be moving down here so it's moving in both places. Okay, recycled dividends. Probably needs a better name, but 0 cost, gain 3 credits. If this card is trashed from your grip or stack, gain 1 credit. If you trashed 3 cards this turn, return recycle. This should say you may. You may return cycle dividends to your hand. So this is meant to be a very, very, very soft crowdfunding homage, where just playing this is an easy mark, which is fine. And then if you like, I mean, like the obvious example is, oh, you can moshing away through recycled dividends, gain 6 credits, draw 3 cards, and then you'll get the recycled dividends back at the end of your turn, which seems kind of fun to me. Maybe it's imbalanced. Maybe you just have to get rid of this last line of text, but it seems like a good place to start. Then this last card... Oh, this is not the card I thought was coming. Oh, yeah, Training Bot. 3,000. Oh, this is a double console type. That's hilarious. Wait, why does this have double console? Oh yeah, Daniel, you're right. This should probably say sorry, no, I'm assuming you're talking about recycled dividends. This should probably say installed cards. Oh no, because I want it to also be cards from hand. So like, recycled dividends right now is trashing off of trashing assets, trashing cards from HQ, trashing cards from the grip, like trashing any corp cards, trashing cards from the grip, and trashing cards that are still on the board. It's probably too many places, but it is currently what the text for recycled dividends says. And events play is another one. Yes, you're right. So all of these would count. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly who's trashing events. It seems weird to say that you didn't, but... You know what? We could say if you trash 3 installed cards, oh man, I want to be installed or grip, right? 3 cards. 3 cards that... How do you phrase this? Any 3 cards... Any 3 installed cards are cards from your grip? Yeah, maybe it's just 3 non-event cards is fine. I think, you know what? That's fine. We can have an event like Anarch that plays recycled dividends. You can just say this excludes... Oh, yeah, that's true too. Why does this have double console? Did the other one also have double console? No, it didn't. It had single console. Weird. Okay, I'm assuming we're talking about recycled dividends. If this card's trashed from your grip or stack, gain 1 credits. Three cards with an install cost. Oh, that's actually kind of nice. It still doesn't quite get what I want. The idea with this was that you could synergize it with Scrappy the Salvager, so you got to count the trash a card from your grip. But I think it's actually just too much rules text, and and tracking every type of card trashed is too much. So I think making it 3 non-event cards. Oh, that is not visible to the stream. Apologies. Let's put that there. Sorry, like, I don't quite have enough screen real estate to, like, track everything that's I'm trying to display. So I'm doing a little bit of juggling here. Yes, Daniel. My thinking with this card is if the runner does trash a card in Essential, that should count for recycled dividends. This might even just be called something like aggressive repurposing or aggressive recycling. You know, I think I'm looking at this, and this needs to say 2 or fewer. This is, okay, so this is Training Bot 3000. The first time you turn, you trash a card, place 1 power counter on Training Bot 3000. Click 2 hosted power counters, choose an event in your heap, play that event, reducing its play cost by 2. Instead of that trashing that event, remove it from the game. So this is sort of it's a weird card. I'm putting a lot of recursion in Anarch, and maybe it doesn't actually need this much recursion. I don't. Let's wait. Hold on. So I think Boot and Rally says you trash. Yeah. So when you install a second copy, you are not the one trashing it. The game is trashing it. So it actually wouldn't trigger itself, which is a weird... But, like, Op doesn't trigger itself by Resin Unique. When you trash a card, if you have trashed 3 cards from different zones... Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, I think this console is probably not playable, but maybe I'm wrong. You need high-impact events that are expensive, which are hard to put in the deck in the first place. Next up, we got Empty Office Exploit, which I guess is meant to be a high-impact, expensive event. Make a run on R&D. If the corporation has 2 or fewer cards in hand, access 4 additional cards. So I think this is meant to be a 1-2 combo with Crazy Ivan. So you like Crazy Ivan, trash a bunch of cards, then use Training Bot to then play an Empty Office Exploit, which is a fun fantasy. Then we got Stack'ems McStacky. Whenever you install a card hosted, it should be... Whenever you install a... Nope, this is a bad ID because the phrasing of it is terrible. Where are we? Whenever you install a card, if it is hosted... If it is hosted, draw a card. If the host card is hosted, draw a card. Repeat until host is not hosted. Okay. So the text should be, whenever you install a card, if it is hosted, draw a card. If the host card is hosted, draw a card. Repeat until the host is not hosted. So the idea is that we want to try and make stacking all my programs on a single program a thing that Shaper players can do, because if they can't be competitive, they can at least do a mini game. And so we'll give Shapers the mini game that is referential to their own lore. For those of you who are not aware, Leprechauns flavor text. I once saw someone running a 7-tier nested daemon tree. Not for any good reasons, just to see if he could. And that's basically the idea behind this identity. So, Pixie, when you install a program on this card or any card hosted on this card, gain 2 credits. You may host any number of programs on this card. So this is 1 to install and 1 MU. Celestial Spark, this has to draw about 10 cards, 5 deep, to feel good, right? Let's see. So I install card 1, I get nothing. I host a second card on that card, and I draw 1 card. I install a second card, and I draw 2 cards. Now I'm at 3 for 3, 4 for 4. Oh no. Okay, so you're right. So 5 cards deep to feel good. Yeah, I think that's probably right. I'm trying to make sure there's a lot of different ways to host in this set. This is obviously the main payoff card. Yeah, go right ahead, Ixaron. Feel free. I have no ownership of any of this. Next up, we got Offshore Computing. It's a 3+3 MU. Use the memory from this card only for Trojans. Click 2 credits, make a run on R&D. For every 2 installed hosted cards you control, access an additional card in R&D. Then we got Fairy Godmother. It's another daemon. First time each turn you make a successful run on the central server, place 1 power counter on this program. Click install a Trojan on this program. Hosted power counter. Treat all Trojans hosted on this program as if they were hosted on the currently encountered piece of ice for the remainder of the run. So the idea behind this is that this is another hosted, another host target. So it's something like, okay, I install Pixie, I then put my Fairy Godmother on my Pixie, and then I can click this to put a Trojan on it, and then use power counters on the Trojan, on the Fairy Godmother, to then use the Trojan as if it was on the ice rather than putting the Trojan on the ice directly. It's meant to be a little bit clunky because that's the idea, is that we want to be a little bit clunky with this engine and have a payoff that's a little bit horizontal to actually being good at the game. Next up, we got Diber Difer, 2 cost 1 MU, Icebreaker, Trojan, Decoder, which is installed only on a piece of ice. Oh, does this... Yeah, TM, Diber Difer. Very, very original. I think this Fairy Godmother might need to install a Trojan on this program, ignoring any install restrictions. Yeah, this is Difer, not Diaper, which is a big difference. That H is very important. Fibonacci. Oh my goodness, Mondi. Oh, that's so good. Okay, well, Diber Difer, you had a good run, but we have supplanted your name in a big, big way. This is now called Fibonacci. I think that is a much better name. Diber Difer says install only on a piece of ice. 1 credit, break 1 subroutine on host ice. 2 credits, break up to 2 code gate subroutines on a ice, protecting the same server as host ice. I think there's probably a better way to word that. And then 1 credit plus 1 strength and a base strength of 4. Protecting the server as... Okay. It's just actually break up to 2 code gate subroutines on a piece of ice. Protecting the same server as hosted. As host ice. Okay. And this... Okay, we're making Fairy Godmother have a minor text that ignores install instructions. So yeah, Celeste Spark, I actually just went and updated the Fairy Godmother text so that you can't... Fairy Godmother ignores install restrictions. That's maybe not the correct wording, but I don't want to put ice on Fairy Godmother, because then you could install on it using its not... So the idea to me is that you have to use the Fairy Godmother's click ability. No, it's all good, Celestial Spark. It's totally fine. I want you to have to use the click ability so you can't SMC, pop your Trojan on Fairy Godmother, and then use it in a paid ability. You have to pre-install stuff. Because, again, Shaper's got to be as clunky as we can make. Next up, we got Stacked Exhibition. Gain 2 credits for every installed hosted card. So this is meant to be the other half of the ID payoff. We now have an Econ event in addition to a Draw ID ability. So we've got a nice little self-contained Shaper cycle. Then we've got Butterfly program. When the host of this program would be trashed, you may instead trash this card to prevent it. It's a 0 cost, 0 MU, just utility little program. This can only be installed on cards that can host other programs, so you can't use this as a rig shooter, or as like a anti-rig shooter tool, but honestly that might be a good use case for this card seeing any play outside of the stacking tribal deck, which is you may install this on a program and then interrupt. When the host of this program would be trashed, you may instead trash this card to prevent it. Maybe I like that more. I think that's probably a big buff and maybe should make it cost something. I'm not quite sure what your question... Yeah, Celestial Spark, this does not recur back to the host's host. This is only seeing its immediate host. So maybe we're going to make this cost... You know what, I think we're going to make this cost 2. And then it's going to say, you may host this on any program. Okay. Interrupt when the host of this program would be trashed. You may trash this card to prevent it. Cool. We got the Mars Institute of Technology, which looks butt ugly. I don't know why it went down like 6 font sizes instead of just 1, but hey, so it goes. When a hosted card is trashed, put a power counter on this card. Click hosted power counter, search your deck for a Trojan, and install it. And then we have our last Trojan... Oh no, we've got 2 more Trojan AIs. Gain 2 for each hosted card. So the reason I don't... yes, Ixaron. The big interaction that we're avoiding here is I host a bunch of cards on a Polly's Cafe. And never install them. And I don't have to pay costs for any of those cards, and I just get to Stacked Exhibition, a bunch of hosted cards that I've paid nothing for, I've just drawn. That's the interaction I'm avoiding. Now, you could argue that Polly's Cafe needs the support, and Stacked Exhibition should just, like, be a Polly's Cafe support card. We'll have to ask Lost Geek what his thoughts are. But... Firefly. Install only on a piece of ice. This is a 1 cost, 2 MU, 1 credit, break one subroutine from this... break one subroutine after this encounter ends, remove this program from the game. 3 credits plus 2 strength and a base strength of 4. I think this is probably worse than Mayfly in a lot of cases. Oh yeah, Customized secretary, bookmark would be another big one. There's a lot of ways to host cards that don't involve installing them, and I'd rather people pay the install costs than have non-intended interactions be the payoff, right? But that's a different thing. Let me just make sure my music is still kosher. Looks like it is. Great. And I'm going to end the stream before that finishes. Okay. So this card probably could honestly use a boost. Maybe being 0 to install would be fine. Though actually you can install this off of an SMC. So you can like SMC, pay 1, install this, break the remote, and get in. Next up we got Mole, Trojan. Install this only on a non-Ice Corp card. Increase the advancement requirement of hosted card by 1. Increase the res cost of hosted card by 2. Decrease the trash cost of hosted card by 2. I think this is actually the card I'm like kind of the most excited about. It probably doesn't work. It's probably needs to say on an installed non-Ice Corp card, just to make things easier. I'm trying to think if this breaks anything else. I don't think it does. Then we got NBN. So we've got a lot of Shaper cards, and surprisingly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Got a full 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 Anarchs, that sounds about right. And like 5 criminal cards, so I definitely need to do some criminal cards. Got Voice of the People. NBN Public Network, you may reduce the res cost of a card by 1 for each unique card res. Use the ability only once per turn. Not super strong, but not like there's a lot of support for this. Scapegoat, 1 influence when a sysop character or executive would be trashed. You make trash those to prevent it from being trashed. Eulogist for the Forgotten. Whenever a runner trashes an installed card, give them a tag, then give them a tag unless they pay 2 credits. And let's get that Y in there. This is a little bit weak as I look at this. If I compare this to something like... so Ixaron, there is a win con for hosting 7 to 10 levels deep. It is the console. Click and 2 credits. Make a run on R&D for every 2 installed hosted cards you control. Access an additional card for R&D. So if you can host 10 cards on other cards, you can access 5 additional cards out of R&D. Are there cards that host in other factions? In this set, no, and that's maybe a weakness of the set. In Standard, we've got any Trojan hosts on it is a hosted card. Basically, every Trojan counts as a hosted card. So you can play Chisel, you can play Botulus, you can play Tranquilizer, you can play Cubon, Egret, Trapano, if we're looking for non-faction cards. So yeah. This is probably a little bit weak, but it's very Winmore. Oh no, Ixaron, I don't really want to put an alternate win condition. Because especially that kind of alternate win condition is so solitaire and difficult for the corp to interact with, I'd be worried about it, but yeah. No, Monty, I think it's a good point that, like, if your set's well designed, and I don't think, like, this set is not well designed, it's fun and interesting, Um, you have your main mechanic for each faction, and then each faction interacts with the mechanic from the other faction so that you can splash cards across and they still make sense. And I don't think this set does that on the runner side essentially at all. On the corpse side, I actually think there's some cool things built in that go across each other. But I think on the runner side, my factions are like completely separate lanes, and that's something that like I would love to try and fix and tune over time. This card's probably a little bit expensive if you compare it to something like Hostile Architecture. I mean, this is, I don't know, giving the runner 2 tags is pretty solid. Okay, next up we got Promoter of Unity. Whenever you play an operation, place 1 credit on this card. Trash, gain all credits listed on this card, and 1 credit for every other unique card rezzed. I use rezzed very intentionally here because runner cards are not rezzed, but I probably should put a period here for consistency. No one tell anyone, this is definitely potentially an op support card because it's a trash cost and paid ability speed, but it is at 3 credits, so it's a little bit trickier. Let me just make sure I didn't miss an important ping. Okay, next up we got Shouty Man. This card can be advanced when your turn begins. Place an advancement on this card. Host the advancement counter. Draw a card. This is a little bit of an odd one. This is like kind of Pravdavost support. Also, I actually love this upgrade frame. Like, this is really 3-dimensional in a way that's like very like the other cards are pretty flat. Like, this is super flat. Like, the assets are just very flat. The IDs are very flat. But this upgrade is like, boom, 3-dimensional in a way that's really interesting. So shoutouts to Reckless Cat again for making all of these templates. But yeah, this is more or less an upgrade DBS that goes in Pravdavost. It also just does draw you a card every turn. To the Watcher, all life bring the server gain strength equal to the number of tags the runner has. That should be a period. This card is likely unplayable, but you never know. Observation Program 4-2. When you score Observation Program, place 2 power counters on this card. We should call those agenda counters. You may remove an agenda counter to give them a tag. Use this ability once per turn. So we're tag stacking. The Bagman. Oh, right, because I was assuming that HHM was rotating, so we needed some replacement. Additional cost to play this event, spend a click and 2 credits. Spend a click, probably say a click, comma, and 2 credits for every unique card rezzed. Spend a click and 2 credits for every unique card rezzed. Is that... How did they word... I don't think this is a good example of wording, but Raindrops Cut Stone is my example. When that run ends, run walk card for each power counter and gain 3 credits. Okay, so it should be probably, as initial cost to play this event, pay 2 credits for... play this event. Initial cost to play this event, pay 2 credits for every unique card rezzed, and a click. Okay. Every unique res card is a more parsable thing, yes. Yeah, why this is a unique operation, I don't know. It's just fun. It's flavor, right? We've got flavor in our operation space. This is a bagman coming to get you. Place advancement counters on a card that can be advanced. That needs a comma. Equal to the number of unique cards rezzed. This maybe doesn't need to cost 8. This probably can cost 6. Yeah, I think this can cost 6. Okay, yep. Great. So this is our win condition theory that go with all these unique cards. Is we've got this guy who's going to just put a bunch of advancement counters on the board for us. Council meeting, double, 2 costs. As an additional cost to play this event, spend a click, search R&D and install and res a card ignoring all costs. The res cost of the card must be less than or equal to the number of unique resed cards. Maybe this does something, I'm not sure. I also think you can tutor up a... Let's see. Can you tutor up a hostile architecture? Yeah, you could. That's funny. Council meeting. Let's make the benches unfriendly. I think that's probably a flavor, a reality synchronicity. Alrighty. Play only if the runner trashed a card last turn, so we're in the reprisal space. Give the runner a tag, then they pay 2 to prevent this. Repeat for every res non-ice card. Then remove this card. Wait. I feel like this should say every unique res card. Or for, yeah. That's what this should say instead. Okay. Every unique res card. Then remove this card from the game. Because if you just res 15 asset, like 10, 5, 6 assets, you don't know why when you play this event is so funny to me. Where did I put that? Oh, when you played this event. Oh my god. Oh, goodness, that took me too long. Yep. Okay. Okay, we got there. We got there very slowly. To play this operation. Unique ice is pretty hard to remove. But, you know, tough. There's not that many unique ice in the game. I don't know. Again, this would be one of those things where you kind of look at playtesting. And like a very easy clause is to add to mobilize the mob would be... Oh no, the runner can already pay 2 to prevent. We don't need to make this card even weaker. I think it's just fine. Like, you pay 3, the runner has to pay 2. And then for every card you have every unique card they have res, they have to repeat this process. I think that's reasonably okay. Okay, 3 to res. Biometric wall. If you have unique cards res, biometric wall. Oh, this is missing its breaks. Okay. So it's supposed to have 2 subroutines by default, which are end the run and end the run. So if you res this and there's no unique cards res, this is a 3 cost, 0 strength barrier with 2 end the run subroutines. If you have a unique cards res, then it becomes effectively a 1 cost end the run barrier, which I think is pretty good. So it's meant to be payoff for the unique stack. Let's see. Is that really the last one? Okay, so we definitely need more NBN cards, because this is 10, which is not really enough. Arc Foundation. When you install Agenda, you may reveal it and res X cards, paying X less for each card, where X is the number of Agenda points on the Agenda. Yeah, I don't know. We talked about, I think we made this like a month ago, and it seemed pretty fine then. And then we also are putting out a bunch of public agendas, so this idea ability just becomes upside. Because you can reveal face-up cards. Okay. I need to put the public text on this, which we need to go and look up. Let's see. Oaktown renovation is now up on the screen when I pull this up. Install only face up. Period. As an additional, I need to put a break in there as well, and I don't need to say face up. I don't need to say face up. I need to say face up. Okay. Okay. And then we can close this guy, and then move back to here. And this will also need that text. Install only face up. All right. You know what? As much as it's been a lot of fun to go through these. It was a lot of fun to go through the drafting stuff. I think I'm going to call it a night here. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Next week we will be back to playing Netrunner, and I will probably round out these sets at a future stream, future date. And probably nothing will come of this. I'm hoping something will come of the draft thing, and I will send that out for people to beta test at some point soon, hopefully. But yeah, until then, hope you guys all have a nice week, and I should be here next Wednesday. So have a good night, everyone.